Question 75. Balance between judicial review and parliamentary supremacy as a feature of the Indian Constitution. Introduction. The twin pillars of Indian democracy. The Indian Constitution is remarkable for maintaining a delicate balance between the supremacy of Parliament and the authority of the judiciary. Both institutions are vital to the functioning of democracy. Parliament represents the will of the people, while the judiciary acts as the guardian of the Constitution and the protector of fundamental rights. In India, neither Parliament nor the judiciary is absolutely supreme. The Constitution is supreme, and both derive their powers and limits from it. Thus, India's constitutional framework embodies a balanced constitutional sovereignty where Parliament can make laws freely, but the judiciary ensures that such laws conform to the Constitution. This dynamic relationship between parliamentary supremacy and judicial review forms one of the defining features of the Indian political system. 1. The concept of parliamentary supremacy in a democracy. Parliamentary supremacy refers to the principle that Parliament, being the representative of the people, has the ultimate lawmaking authority. In Britain, for example, Parliament is absolutely sovereign. It can make or unmake any law, and no court can question its validity. However, in India, parliamentary supremacy is limited by the Constitution. Parliament's power to legislate is subject to judicial review, ensuring that no law violates the Constitution's supremacy, especially fundamental rights. Part 3. Article 245 and 246 define the legislative powers of Parliament and state legislatures, but these are not unlimited. They must operate within constitutional boundaries. Thus, in India, Parliament is supreme within its own sphere, but not above the Constitution. 2. The concept of judicial review. Judicial review is the power of the judiciary, particularly the Supreme Court and High Courts, to examine the constitutionality of legislative acts and executive actions and to declare them void if they violate the Constitution. This doctrine ensures the supremacy of the Constitution over all institutions. The power of judicial review in India is derived from several articles. Article 13 declares that any law inconsistent with fundamental rights is void. Article 32 empowers the Supreme Court to enforce fundamental rights. Article 226 empowers High Courts to issue writs for protection of rights. Articles 131 to 136 grant the Supreme Court broad appellate and original jurisdiction. Thus, judicial review acts as a constitutional safeguard against the misuse of legislative or executive power. Justice K. Subba Rao rightly said, "The Constitution is supreme, it is the law of laws, and all other laws are subordinate to it." 3. Constitutional basis of the balance. The Indian Constitution carefully balances parliamentary authority and judicial power through the following principles. I. Supremacy of the Constitution. Both Parliament and judiciary are subordinate to the Constitution, neither can claim absolute authority. This ensures that the ultimate sovereignty rests with the Constitution itself, not with any organ of the state. 2. Separation of powers. Though not absolute, the doctrine of separation of powers, Articles 50 and 122 to 211, ensures that the legislature makes laws, the executive enforces them, and the judiciary interprets them. This separation prevents concentration of power and promotes mutual respect among the organs. 3. Checks and balances. Each organ checks the excesses of the others. Parliament can amend the Constitution. Article 368. Judiciary can review laws and amendments to ensure conformity with constitutional principles. This interplay ensures that neither Parliament nor judiciary oversteps its constitutional domain. 4. Judicial review versus parliamentary supremacy. The constitutional dynamics. A. Scope of parliamentary supremacy. Parliament can 1. Make laws on subjects enumerated in the Union and concurrent lists. 2. Amend the Constitution under Article 368. 3. Exercise constituent power to modify constitutional provisions. However, this supremacy is not absolute. Its actions are subject to judicial scrutiny. B. Scope of judicial review. The judiciary can 1. Review laws to ensure they don't violate fundamental rights. Article 13. 2. Strike down unconstitutional constitutional amendments. Keswananda Bharti v. State of Kerala, 1973. 3. Interpret constitutional provisions to protect the basic structure of the Constitution. But the judiciary also cannot act as a legislature. It cannot make laws or interfere with Parliament's policy decisions unless they violate constitutional limits. Hence, Parliament makes laws, but judiciary decides their constitutional validity, ensuring a balanced coexistence. 5. Landmark judicial decisions establishing the balance. The evolution of the balance between parliamentary supremacy and judicial review can be traced through major Supreme Court cases. I. Shankari Prasad v. Union of India, 1951. The court upheld Parliament's power to amend fundamental rights under Article 368, affirming parliamentary supremacy in constitutional amendment. 2. Golaknath v. State of Punjab, 1967. The court reversed its earlier position, holding that Parliament cannot amend fundamental rights, emphasizing judicial supremacy. This created tension between the two organs. 3. Keswananda Bharti v. State of Kerala, 1973. A historic compromise. The court held that Parliament can amend any part of the Constitution but cannot alter its basic structure. Thus, judicial review was upheld, but Parliament retained wide amending powers. Justice Khanna famously stated, "The Constitution is supreme, Parliament is not." At the same time, the judgment recognized Parliament's role in adapting the Constitution to changing times. This case established the doctrine of basic structure, the foundation of constitutional balance in India. 4. Indira Nehru Gandhi v. Raj Narayan, 1975. The court struck down the 39th Amendment, which sought to immunize the Prime Minister's election from judicial review, as violating the basic structure. This reaffirmed that judicial review is an essential feature of the Constitution. V. Minerva Mills v. Union of India, 1980, the court held that limited amending power of Parliament itself is part of the basic structure. It observed that The Indian Constitution is founded on the balance between parliamentary sovereignty and judicial review. Destroy that balance, and you destroy the Constitution. This case conclusively cemented the mutual respect and restraint between the two institutions. 6. S.R. Bommai v. Union of India, 1994. The Supreme Court subjected the use of Article 356, President's Rule, to judicial review, ensuring federal balance and preventing misuse of central power. This case extended judicial oversight while respecting legislative authority. 6. Importance of maintaining the balance. The coexistence of judicial review and parliamentary supremacy ensures that 1. Democracy is preserved. Parliament reflects the people's will. Judiciary safeguards constitutional morality. 2. Arbitrary power is checked. Judicial review prevents misuse of legislative or executive power. 3. Flexibility and stability coexist. Parliament can adapt the Constitution to changing needs, while judiciary ensures its core principles remain intact. 4. Protection of fundamental rights. Judiciary ensures individual liberty against potential legislative excesses. Hence, this balance embodies the spirit of constitutionalism, government by law, not by arbitrary power. 7. Modern developments and cooperative relationship. In recent times, both Parliament and judiciary have sought to harmonize their roles. Parliament respects the judiciary's role as the interpreter of the Constitution. Judiciary recognizes Parliament's role as the policymaking authority. Dialogues between the two through interpretations, amendments, and constitutional conventions sustain democratic equilibrium. Example: The Right to Privacy, 2017, case affirmed privacy as a fundamental right, while Parliament subsequently enacted data protection laws consistent with judicial reasoning, demonstrating constitutional cooperation. 8. Theoretical significance. The Indian model of constitutional supremacy, unlike the British model of parliamentary sovereignty or the American model of judicial supremacy, India has evolved a third model, constitutional supremacy. Here, both Parliament and judiciary function under the constitutional framework, maintaining mutual respect and constitutional boundaries. This ensures that democracy in India is representative, responsible, and restrained, a balanced democracy, not a majoritarian one. 9. Summary for quick understanding. The Indian Constitution establishes a balance between parliamentary supremacy and judicial review through the supremacy of the Constitution. Parliament can make and amend laws, while the judiciary can review them to ensure conformity with constitutional provisions. Landmark cases such as Keswananda Bharti and Minerva Mills have defined this balance through the doctrine of basic structure, preventing both legislative absolutism and judicial overreach. Thus, India's democracy operates on a principle of mutual restraint and respect, where neither organ dominates but both protect constitutional values. Quick revision notes. Parliamentary supremacy, Parliament's right to make laws within constitutional limits. Judicial review, court's power to examine constitutionality of laws and acts. Key articles: 13, 32, 226, 245 to 246, 368. Key cases: Shankari Prasad, 1951, Golaknath, 1967, Keswananda Bharti, 1973, Minerva Mills, 1980, S.R. Bommai, 1994. Doctrine: Basic structure limits Parliament's amending power. Balance: Parliament represents the people, judiciary guards the constitution. Core principle: Constitution is supreme, both Parliament and judiciary are its servants. One-line questions and answers for revision. 1. What ensures the balance between Parliament and judiciary in India? Supremacy of the Constitution. 2. What is parliamentary supremacy? The power of Parliament to make laws, representing the people's will. 3. What is judicial review? The power of courts to review and strike down unconstitutional laws. 4. Which article provides for judicial review? Article 13. 5. Which case established the basic structure doctrine? Keswananda Bharti v. State of Kerala, 1973. 6. Which case reaffirmed that balance is a basic feature? Minerva Mills v. Union of India, 1980. 7. What happens if Parliament amends the basic structure? The amendment is void. 8. Which article empowers Parliament to amend the Constitution? Article 368. 9. Which article empowers citizens to approach the Supreme Court for rights enforcement? Article 32. 10. What is the ultimate sovereignty in India? The Constitution, not Parliament or judiciary. Final connection. The Indian Constitution stands as a masterpiece of constitutional balance, ensuring that neither the will of the majority, Parliament, nor the authority of the judiciary becomes absolute. By granting Parliament wide legislative powers and the judiciary the power of review, it creates a self-correcting democratic mechanism where freedom and restraint, majority and morality, power and justice coexist in harmony. In this balance lies the true strength of India's democracy, a constitutional republic governed not by men, but by the rule of law.